巡り巡る星の輪に僕の未来願いすべて託す夢の途切れ間に揺らいだ朝焼け冷えたわけじゃない輝き見据えて熱を持つ体抱えて走れば昨日までのよどんだ目にさよなら立ち向かう勇気などなくても
Oi. Oh, wrong one. It didn't change my thing. Oh, I can hear myself. Yikes. Hold on, wait. Hello, welcome in, everyone. It literally didn't change my thing. I was like, what's happening? Oh, no. Why is everything broken? Hello. Hold on, let me turn my voice off because I can hear myself. How do I sound, by the way? Do I sound okay? Do I sound different? Maybe I don't sound different. But there's some technical things that changed. That needed to change. Clean? I'm glad. I'm tired of being unclean. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Never mind. Okay, so I was listening to my, hold on, let me turn off myself, because oh my gosh. Okay, I can't hear myself anymore, thank goodness. That was bothering me. What was I saying? Welcome in, everyone. Yeah, I was listening to my VODs and I realized, wait a minute, why do I sound that way? And I realized, wait a minute, I sound really bad. So I had to fix my audio. Let me warn you, if anyone here wants to, if anyone here's ever wanted to be a streamer or thought about being a streamer, please, 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 please. Audio is so important. Audio is so important for the stream. And I don't heed my own advice sometimes, so take it with a grain of salt because I'm kind of a hypocrite. But if you have the chance and you can afford to, please listen through your VODs. Take advice from, like, ask people sometimes on stream, like, hey, how does my audio sound? Because I found out, I'm not blaming anyone, but I found out last stream when we had our we had our just chatting stream. It was literally a stream all about talking, and the audio quality was so bad. I was like, wait, I thought it was good this whole time. I thought it was good. Yeah, so if you can afford the time, I understand not having time, but if you can afford the time, please watch through your VODs to make sure to double check your audio. So that's why if we sound crispy, I've been doing a little audio upgrades. Small things, a small thing. Let me know how it sounds though. Jeannie, Aokuni, Miso, Mika, Advent, welcome in, hi Ewan, welcome in y'all, Quizvy, hi Van Bear, how does that, oh gosh, I'm gonna drink right now, good idea. Good idea, did I type her name right? I actually did not double check that, because I didn't get the pop-up saying, hey, here's the, here's the name. Oh wait, did I not even, I did change the title, right? Oh crap. Oh, I did, thank goodness. Oh my goodness. For a second there, I thought I didn't change the title and I was like, no. Okay, and I did type it right. You should see, if you check out, so you guys, you ever do like collabs or you just want to tag people in your titles? It makes pretty colors in your titles. If you check it out, the title, you could literally hover over Kimawari's name and look how beautiful. It's pink. You can hover over it and you can give her a follow. Hell yeah, speaking of which, I'm going to open her Twitch now just so I can be ready for when she starts. But yeah, welcome in everyone. Hello. Welcome. Yeah, grab your grades. You only get this one chance, this one opportunity to seize the moment. Yeah, I got a 95. Well, I'm 5 away. Go big or go home. It's not good enough. I need a 100. I will claim the first 100. I will claim it. Thank you, Vamper. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. How are you all doing on this beautiful Saturday? Now, some of you might be wondering, Spelly, weren't we supposed to have a roleplay today? Yes, you are absolutely correct. I did not forget. In fact, if you're not in the Discord, please join the Discord, or if you don't have the announcements roll, please get the announcement roll. If you want to know, I'll be careful. If you want to know when we go live with these things, because like I said in the Discord, I've been working really hard to set up the roleplay, but it still has some more stuff to do for it. And so I was not able to get it in time for today, but we are having our big roleplay stream tomorrow. It's tomorrow and it starts at 12. It actually starts at 12, not 1. It starts an hour early because it's gonna be a bit of a long one. Actually, to be honest, I originally wanted to start it at 12 because of Kimawari's debut, but since it got pushed to tomorrow, I guess it doesn't really matter. But since I already have committed to 12 o'clock, it starts at 12 o'clock tomorrow. 18, no, I'm so sorry, Ewan. You guys, it's okay. Don't worry about the grades. You could always try to get in tomorrow. Heck yeah. Hi, Rim. I hope you guys are so ready. Hi, Gray. So we're only going to be here for another 40 minutes. So let's just chit chat for 40 minutes. But I have a lot to tell you guys. First of all, where are we right now? Can anyone tell me? Obviously not specific because this isn't, like, in general. Where does it look like we are? I'm going to take a drink. And no stretch? All right. Sorry. I will drink. Stress. Beach cactus? No beach. Wait, why would you say a beach? No, you're right. It's the desert. We're in the desert. It looks like a desert oasis. You are exactly correct. Welcome in, Maestro. Oh, that's really exciting. Rim. What have you been making? Or what do you want to make with your 3D printer? The beach? Why do you guys think about it? Because of the sand? No, I'm not at the beach. I'm at a desert, but it's an oasis to be specific. An oasis. Death Valley, no. I think that's all sand. I don't know if there's any like water in there. Southwest, oh my gosh. So this is a little teaser for tomorrow for our role play. We've been working, me and the mod team. Sorry, my brain derped for a second there. Me and the mod team, I hate to say mostly Maestro, but have been working really hard to set up the role play for everyone's enjoyment tomorrow. I'm so excited. I hope you guys really like it. I can give you guys, for anyone who's coming in today, I can give you guys a little bit of sneaky peekies, and the sneaky peeky I will say is it will involve both art and dancing. So if you guys want to swing by to watch me do, I know you guys usually come to watch me do art, but if you guys want to swing by to watch me do some dancing, oh snap. Oh snap. And I'll try not to make the roleplay, I'll try not to make it too long. I'll try not to make it too long, because I can only imagine how, like if you really wanted to sit here, it's a story. For those that don't know, it's basically a story performance that I put on stream. So there's a story behind it, there's a plot, you know, there's an ending to it. There's a beginning, middle, and ending to it. It ends tomorrow as well. It's like a one-shot adventure, maybe like similar to D&D a little bit, where it's like a one-shot, you know, there's plot in it. So that's why I'll try not to make it too long, so if anyone does want to sit through and actually watch the whole thing, but there's a lot that's gonna be going on tomorrow. I've done role plays like this before, but I know not everyone that's here right now has ever seen my role plays, so I'm really excited about it. I put a lot of work into it, so did Maestro put a hella work into it. And I did ask a lot of the mods to help out with some other pieces as well. So I'm really excited, I'm really excited. And I hope you guys like it too. There is a beach desert? I've never ever heard of a beach desert before. You have to tell me. Maybe it's because I don't understand the definition of a beach. That's very possible. Very possible. A sneaky peeky, exactly. Oh, that's exciting. Please take pictures, Rim. Heck yeah, I would love to see. More Snap than Snapple? What are you talking about? Speaking of Snapple, I'm gonna drink some, that has nothing to do with Snapple. I'm gonna drink some Rogue Energy. Spelling the movie, it will basically be like a movie, yes. Yes, please, thank you, Miso. I really appreciate it. Oh my goodness. Maestro, you got 1 grade point higher than I did. You're so close. I think the highest we've ever gotten is 98 so far. We've never gotten 99, and we especially haven't gotten 100. We're still trying to get there to 100. Thank you for the Rogue. That's right. You could save 20% on your Rogue Energy by using my code. You got wait, you got 99? I don't remember that. I don't remember that. I'm so sorry. Oh man. But yes, no one has gotten 100 yet. Yet. One faithful day, someone will get 100 though. Heck yeah. Miso can confirm. Oh, we're so close. We're all getting so close. Don't worry. I mean, the lowest I've ever seen is 0. So 0's already been hit. 0 was hit. I think on the first or second day we ever had grades. A Cheery got 0. I know I screenshot it. I pinned it in the Discord if anyone wants to check. But yeah, but we never had 100 yet. Did we get one? Maybe Man Bear. Oh man. Oh snap. But yes, so I really hope you guys look forward to the roleplay stream tomorrow. I'm so excited. Again, it starts 1 hour earlier than our normal stream time, whatever time that is for you guys. So right now, for me, it is almost 4:30, which means it would have started 4 hours and 30 minutes before now, whatever time it is for you guys now, for my time zone. So I'm starting at 12 noon, not my time zone. You can actually see my time in the top left corner. Top left, wait, top left. Have I always been saying top right? I hope not. No one's corrected me if I have then. There we go. Wait, where did you put it? Is it in the Discord? Whee! Let's see. Also, yes, our roleplay, I'm looking at the Discord for Mika. The event schedule is tomorrow. Our roleplay is tomorrow. But today, as it said in the announcement, I'm a little late. I was supposed to start at 4. I started like at 4:16. I was working really hard on the roleplay stuff, but we are doing our waiting room right now. We're doing our waiting room for Kibuwari, who is debuting in roughly 30 minutes. I'm so excited. And if you guys don't know, we've been working on Kibuwari's lore video for a while, and then we did finish it a while back, and here it is. I think we finished in February-ish. February, At least on stream, it was like in January, February. And then we did a lot of behind the scenes stuff with someone that you guys might know. Oh, Evan! Oh my goodness.
Sally, you're so
Yes.
amazing.
No,
I love you energy less than
No,
food.
I love your energy. Every time you come into stream, you always have something nice to say. It's very kind. I feel like I'm greedy. I'm greedy. I really enjoy when people say nice things because I don't know. Lately, I feel like I haven't been hearing it, and I'm like, oh man. But I really do appreciate it, Advent, and I appreciate the club biddies. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If it turns out good, I'll show pictures. Oh yes, I would love to see Rim. I would absolutely love to see. Show me on break. Okay, let me see. That's a desert beach. Oh, okay. I thought you were showing me the definition of a desert beach. So it's basically literally just a beach of the desert. Would an oasis? Wait, would that be like at the edge of the ocean? Like if a desert meets the ocean kind of thing? Or would that also count for like an oasis kind of thing? I'm gonna take another drink. Hold on. Oh, I need a hug. You know, that makes a lot of sense to me, so. Having it, I never really thought about deserts being near the ocean because I always think of deserts like hot and like dry. But then there's the ocean. It's like, oh, it's supposed to be freshwater. Wait, so freshwater can't be a beach? I thought lakes could have beaches. Or are lakes not freshwater? Now no, there has to be freshwater lakes. I've heard of that term before. Or I'm just making it up. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Right? When I think of deserts, that's such an interesting thing. I did not think about that. That's really cool though. Heck yeah. So yeah, maybe it is a beach. No, this is meant to be an oasis though, but I completely understand where that confusion could have came from. Aw. Yeah. I always imagine beaches with palm trees to be salt water. Do palm trees need salt water? I feel like palm trees grow on fresh water, no? Do palm trees... I don't think there's any plant. Is there any... No, wait. No, there are. Never mind. I'm dumb. Do palm trees grow... They need more magnesium than anything? In magnesium water? In fresh or salt water? I could take a sneaky peeky, though. Yeah, palm trees do indeed need some salt. Do all plants need salt? I guess... it says some palm trees can tolerate salt water, including, and then there's a bunch of names of palm trees that I don't really. They need fresh water to grow, but they can tolerate salty conditions. Okay, there you go. There it is. They can tolerate salty, especially I'm assuming compared to other plants, but they still need fresh water to actually grow. So now we know. But there are plants that grow in salt water. I was about to ask for a second. I was like, are there any plants that grow in salt water? But then I completely forgot there's like kelp, seaweed, like coral. Like, wait, no, coral's not a plant, is it? Coral's a, wait, what is coral? It's not an animal, is it? It's a plant, right? Or is it something else? I can't read that word. Ugh. Coral's okay, so it's an animal. It's an animal. Hello, Kitty Lyria. Kitty. Hi, Kitty. How you? I want to say it every time because I think it's such a fun. Even if I call you Kitty for the rest of stream, I want to say at least Kitty Lyrius one time because it's such a fun word to say, and I keep messing it up. Welcome, Big Kitty. How you doing today? Hello. Talking about palm trees and coral, and in general, plants. I've been growing a pineapple tree lately. It's not very grown, but it did sprout roots, and its roots are white. Did not know roots could be any color than brown. Maybe it's because of how I'm growing it, maybe. They don't need salt water at all. What are mangroves? What's a mangrove? Kelp, seaweed, and coral are all animals. Wait, what? What do you mean those are... Hold on, seaweed is not an animal. I refuse. Is seaweed... It has the word weed in it. An animal? Seaweed is a common name for countless species of marine plants and algae that grow in the ocean, as well as rivers, lakes, and other water bodies. Wait, what? That's like water bodies, not bodies of water. Okay. Bro. Good, I fixed it because it's a delirious kitty. Yeah, the Cheshire cat. Oh, that's so cute though. I like it. I like how to say it. Kitty Lyrius. Yeah, I really hope you guys like the Oh man, I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited for it. And we get to dance. Mangroves are grown in rather salty blackish waters. I'll have to check that out too. Hold on, I keep drinking. I have not been drinking at all today. And now that I'm on stream, finally taking a break from everything, it feels really nice to finally drink something like water. If I turn this on, can you guys hear? Do I sound like I'm echoing if I turn this on? I think I can withstand it for one stream. Hello. Okay. Wait, no, I did it wrong. There we go. Okay, I can hear myself now. Can you guys... Oh, wait, testing? Hold on, let me pause. I don't think you can hear it. Can you guys hear me echoing? I don't see it anywhere in the audio, so that's good. I'm just making sure. No echo? Okay, cool. I turned myself on so that I can hear myself, because I was like, you know, for 30 minutes, I think I can do it. Maybe not, though. Now I'm immediately regretting it. But I wanted to check on my audio instead of having to go through the entire VOD, because we're a little lazy. I'm busy. No, we're not lazy. We're busy. Okay, let me see. Let me see what a mangrove is. Mangrove, Zach. Mangroves are groups of trees and shrubs that live in coastal intertidal zones. So they look like these. They look like those things that make it really easy to grow or to make a hut out of. Like if you're surviving in wilderness. I think that would be cool. Look at them. Look, they look like actual people. Like, well, not people, but like, they look like you just get up and start walking around. Are those just the roots? They're like tiptoeing on the ground instead of growing into the ground. That's so crazy. That's it. These I don't know if I would be scared if I ran into this in real life. Oh man. Kind of reminds me of my pineapple plant because I only see the roots. It's not planted anywhere. It's just growing roots. Oh my goodness. Hearing your own voice at a delay will make you trip over your own words. True. It's very true. Well, depends. The depending is two things. Oh, wait, where's my hands? Two things. One, if I have noise canceling headphones, which I don't. And two, if I'm very used to it, which I'm not. So, yes. long story short, yes, I will trip over my words a lot. But I'm gonna try not to. Just because I don't want to. I don't want to go through my VOD. I'm so sorry, guys. Hi, Sick Ripper. Welcome in. Welcome in. We're talking about plants. I don't know a whole lot about plants, but... They look like they grow on stilts. They're so cute. They remind me a little of that. Isn't there a plant dude in Cuphead? Let me see. Cuphead plant dude. I don't think I needed to add the word plant dude there. Oh, no, that was a flower. No, not that guy. Was it that guy? Wasn't there like a dude that had like legs? Like, but the legs were roots or something? Maybe not. Those roots are also a good fish nursery. Oh, that's so cute. Little fishies. I can imagine little fishies there. I can imagine little froggies. Little cute little things. And then sharks. No. Sharks. Yes? It's also illegal to cut them down because they prevent erosion. Wait, erosion... How? How would you... Oh, first, how would you cut them down? And then second, how do they prevent erosion? Yo! I think that's just speech jamming at that point. I know that not even the toughest of plants will survive it. Oh no, Sick Ripper, no! Not even the hardy ones. They have like, what are they called? Succulents? I think they're called succulents. The ones that are like, you don't have to... Okay, I'm liking the audio. I don't hear any bad things about it, so I'm gonna turn it off again. But if anything happens, just let me know. Yeah, succulents, I think, are the ones that don't require a whole lot of care to grow. The flower boss in Cuphead, does he like lift up his leg, or does it lift up its legs at some point? I know there's a flower, but I don't remember. The roots are kept. Wait, the roots keep the sand and dirt in place. Oh, okay. So that they don't move around and start breaking stuff with their over time, I should say, because yes, it's one singular grain of sand that's been going around just whacking everything, eroding it. It does at some point. Okay, I wasn't going crazy. I looked up pictures, but maybe it's because I put the word dude there. I looked up pictures, but clearly it's like just of the plant dude and not like when he does all his attacks and stuff. That's fine. I'm glad I'm just not going crazy. Heck yeah. They're good for maintaining small islands during hurricane weather. Wait, really? Because of the whole not moving around sand and dirt thing, or is there another reason for it? That's really cool though. And hurricanes are not though, but wait, do hurricanes have a benefit at all, or do hurricanes just suck in general? Like there's no pro to a hurricane, all cons. I can't even think if there's ever a pro to hurricanes. Someone else enlighten me. Oh, there's Pokemon. Eye for Gore. There we go. Catch it all. Yee. Wait, there is a pro to hurricanes? Huh? I need to study. Wait, the hurricanes thing? Wait, why do you need to study that? Succulents. It does at some point. Oh wait, I already read that. Sorry, my brain. Ah. Yeah, I think I had a succulent back when I lived on with my roommates. I had succulents then, and they were fun. I didn't even really care for them because well, my roommates did, but still, they grew all over the stairs. They were like these viney things. Maybe that wasn't a succulent though. That might have been something else actually. Now that I think about it. I also can agree though. I do not have a green thumb, and that's perfectly fine because I don't take care of plants. I still got that. Let me take care of myself first a little bit. Oh man. But yeah, I'm really happy to see you guys, even though we're not doing our big roleplay stream today. It's tomorrow, for anyone new coming in. Tomorrow is our roleplay stream, but since we're not doing it today, we're just doing a simple yapping stream, talking before Kimawari's debut. And if you did not know, we did Kimawari's lore video. So we're gonna raid into her when she goes live, and we will all take a sneaky peeky as to the full lore video and how it came out. Heck yeah, I'm so excited. I hope she has a lot of fun today. Oh, and it's also her birthday. It's also her birthday celebration today. So when we go to raid, we should have a special message saying happy birthday and debut. Happy debut and happy birthday and debut, whichever one sounds right. One of the two of them. So we'll make a special message for today. Heck yeah, I'm excited for it. Your plant has your plant has so many houses around. Yes, I'm so glad I read that right. Your house has so many plants. Aww. I think we have the one pineapple tree that we're growing, but other than that, I have plants outside in the garden, not really indoors, but I have a lot of garden plants. I don't even know what they are. I think we have like a batch of daffodils. They're like the ones that have like the really long yellow stem, right? Let me see. Daffodil. Yeah, with the really long yellow stem thingy. And I also have these purple ones. I don't remember what they're called. I think they're lilacs? No. Lilacs? Yes, I think I have lilacs. I have really cute plants. But unfortunately my plants didn't really grow very much this year because the deer kept eating them. So hopefully next year it'll be a lot better where, you know, we'll keep the deer out of our garden, and so the plants can actually bud and everything. At least the deer had something to snack on, I guess, but you know, I would like the plants. They're so pretty. They're so pretty whenever they do like fully bloom. Debut day. Your mom and you take care of the plant. That's so cute. That's so cute. Aw. I always wanted to have a little plant that I could talk to. I hear that talking to plants is really important. Not that you have to, but it's really important because, you know, carbon dioxide and stuff. Also, I missed your comment, me, so I'm gonna go back. To be honest, the only pro I can think of for hurricanes is that they can be tracked for a few weeks. I don't know if that's a positive for hurricanes. I mean, I guess it's like related to hurricanes, but that's more like, I guess if we spin it into a con, spin it into a pro, it would be that hurricanes I don't think it's still worth it. I still wish hurricanes didn't happen, but hurricanes can create a job for people to track hurricanes. That sounds so weird. I don't know. I still, at the end of the day, I don't think there's any really, like, there's no pro that's gonna outweigh the cons for hurricanes. Ooh, that's why they call it natural disasters. Got a munch? Oh man, I feel it. Can you bring me something, Man Bear, please? Please, I would like some food. Pretty please with a cherry on top. Yeah. Oh, you know what I haven't done today? I didn't take my vitamins. What time is it? It's almost 4:45 my time. No, wait, before I take the vitamins, do you think it's a bad idea to take vitamins after a certain point of the day? Or even if you're in bed to go to sleep for the night, can you still take vitamins at that time? I feel like you shouldn't though. I feel like there's a certain point of the day where you shouldn't take vitamins. I don't know, but I also didn't take them yesterday though, so I don't know. And I might forget to do it tomorrow as well. One of the few natural disasters that don't just pop up unexpectedly. That's good, because a lot of them, they do. That's why they call flash floods, because it's in a flash. Those suck, by the way. Take the vitamins, it's fine to, as long as it's not bedtime. So why would it be not fine to when it's bedtime in particular? I'll take them now, but let me see. I need to refill my vitamins. I have like 2 more days with full vitamins, and then the rest are like half. Cause I would take, oh no, wait, I don't have, today's my last day of vitamins before I have to refill it. Cause all the rest of them have like, not all the vitamins I'm supposed to take. I took like 1 vitamin that day and I didn't take the other one. Vitamins, yeah, okay, I'll take my vitamins. So, I have 1 vitamin that can be done with water, and 1 vitamin that needs food. I don't have any food on me though. You know what I do have though? A while back, we got those cookies that were in the bin that normally has sewing materials. I could eat one of those cookies to eat the other vitamin. Sorry, vitamins. Vitamins are important. Don't forget, if you do have any that you have to take, don't forget to take them. Today, right now, even though it's a bit late, right now is your reminder. Okay, I took the liquid one. I just have to take the solid one. Oh, man. Do they make liquid? Actually, now that I think about it, do they make liquid vitamins? Like vitamins that are, I guess, like a drink? And not necessarily vitamin water, but hold on. Let me grab my cookies. My cookie. You know what else I just realized? I have like a whole thing of mac and cheese upstairs, like in a box, just upstairs for some reason. I do need multivitamins, exactly. That's what I'm about to take is a multivitamin for people my age. Not because I'm old or anything, but that sounds really weird. I'm sorry. Don't worry, I'm so young. I'm so young. I promise. I am the youngest. I'm not the youngest, but I'm so young. I'm 31. Oh, baby. No, I'm not. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. An IV? Would an IV be vitamins? Is that... I guess it is necessary things for living, but... Okay, I'm taking a cookie so I can eat my vitamin. Ah. Now I gotta remember to actually take the vitamin, not eat the cookie. And just eat the cookie. Your EDS makes you feel older? Well, I'm gonna tell you right now that you are still young. I don't know, take it from the words of an online person, of an internet person, but I believe you are not truly old until you are 80 or higher. And even then, it's okay to be old. I mean, it's not like being old is a negative thing. It does suck. It does have some negative connotations with it. The only thing I can think of that sucks with it is just the idea, you know. But, oh. Cup of Java, hi! Welcome in, thank you so much for becoming a VIP here at the clubhouse. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I will drink right now. Take it a drink. Ah. Alright, we're drinking. Oh, man. Who is Kimawari? Kimawari is one of the people that we did the lore video for. We did it on stream, the whole thing. And so we are going to be rating her out once she starts her stream. Because today is her debut and today is her birthday celebration. Yippee! So we'll have a special raid command. It'll say something like, I don't know. Happy birthday and debut! And we'll have a little wiggle emotes or something like that. Yeah. Sorry, I'm still trying to chew the cookie. Okay. I feel like your energy and heart embrace a youthful mind and mentality. Your worries of aging can cool down. You young and beautiful smelling. Yeah, don't worry. I'm so young. I am so young. So young, and when you guys are here, you could be young with me. Don't worry. You're only as old as you. How do I word that? Obviously, we all have like a legit age, but mentally, you're only as old as you essentially present yourself, if that makes sense. Like, not just how you treat yourself, how you treat other people. Your mentality towards things and situations and stuff. Like, if you have a mentality where, you know, you believe, like, oh, I'm so old, then I guess, you know, that's kind of how it is, right? But if you don't constantly talk about that, like, if you don't constantly worry about your age and everything, then you can worry about other things, or not worry at all. As we try. No. Only as old as you let yourself be and think. Something like that, Advent. Right. Because again, I know we all have like a legit age, but only as old as mentally, I should say, mentally and emotionally, only as old as you let yourself be and think. Your mental age is based on how you act. Kind of. It's how you act towards everything. It's how you think towards everything. You know? My VTuber is ageless, so there's that. That's good. Let's go. I would tell you how old Spelly is, but you guys could take a guess. I'd love to hear. But yeah, I've been listening to a lot of. Would you consider on YouTube a video that basically talks about whatever, right? Would you consider that to be a podcast even though it has a video? Do podcasts only have to be audio only, or can podcasts still be videos? Because I have been listening to a lot of videos lately. Here, I'll look at my history and give you some titles. And I consider it kind of, I consider it kind of podcasting. But they're not, I mean, they're like a full video. They have edits and everything in them, and I don't really watch the video too much. I'm usually doing something else. But videos such as how to make myself work when I'm lazy, and the answer is not discipline. How to fix my attention span, which I learned some pretty good stuff from both of those videos, by the way. You're not dumb. How to fix your attention span. That's so funny. And then the last one, I actually haven't gotten through this one yet. Your guide to social confidence and charisma. I haven't watched that one yet. I started it, but... And then I have a lot of other videos, which reminds me of another video that I have that I wanted to tell you guys about a little bit, but I'll do it in just a couple minutes. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. Ah! Okay. They can be both. Wait, video essays? So they can be both. Podcasts can be both video and audio only. Video essays, commentaries. Yeah, stuff like that. Trash day. Oh. Self-help? It's like just, I mean, I read all the titles. It's like just stuff for, yeah, like self-help, I guess. Like self-improvement. Learning how to, let me see if I can find some more. I have one that says how to take the perfect selfie in 6 minutes. That was an interesting one. What else? What are some things that I listened to, but I didn't really like pay attention too much to the actual video itself? How to meditate has been one. The art of conversation. How to talk to anyone, strangers, acquaintances, and friends. Why you need hobbies in 2024. Rediscovering my hobbies as a burnt out college student. Stuff like that. Stuff like that. I've been listening to a lot of that lately. Because it's fun listening. Now, what sucks is I don't really get to pay attention fully to them because I'm usually working at the same time. But it's nice just listening to someone. And I'm able to pull some things, especially if I listen to it multiple times. I'm able to pull a couple things out of it. That's helpful, you know? It's almost time. It really is. It really is. Trash taste is a thing. Is it like a YouTube channel? Or like a genre of YouTube videos? I should say. One of the two of them. I don't know. It is almost time. So there is another thing I wanted to tell you guys about. Oh, I clicked on the wrong video. Oh, okay. I work with... So there is a thing coming out soon. I recommend that you guys check it out at some point. It's coming out in... I think it's got 5 days left. Oh, wait. Wrong one. I clicked on the wrong one. It's this one. I highly recommend you guys come back and peep that. It's next Friday. Next Friday at 1 p.m. my time. I don't know. I think it says on YouTube what time that is for you guys. But, oh, I clicked on the wrong button. Or I typed the wrong thing. That's about 5. So it's 5 o'clock now. So that's about 4 hours from now, whatever that is for your time. But next Friday, not today or anything. It's next Friday. I'm so excited. I hope you guys like it. Aw. It's a YouTube podcast channel. Oh, here. I'll look at it. Trash. Wait, what was it called? Trash Taste. Oh. I thought it was Trash Take. Podcast. Oh, wait, I feel like I've seen so many videos of these people. Wait, is that Connor? That's like the first thing I noticed. Hi, Sketchy, welcome in. Oh, man. Yeah, starting soon. Speaking of 5 days, 10 days till due date. Wait. 10 days till due date? Do you have like something due? Wait, am I missing something? Oh, I will drink right now. Hi, Sketchy. How you doing today? Pretty good. To be Connor, dog. Yeah, Connor, Joey, and Garnt? Wait, what? I've never, hold on. I have never seen one of the things, but I've seen clips. I have seen clips of it. Not that I've never seen it, but I never like sat down and listened to it or anything. That's interesting. It's your project? Wait, 10 days till my project's due? Are you talking about the one... You guys remember things that... I gotta be careful what I say around you guys. I gotta be careful what I say around you guys. The room? Oh, that's not a project. I thought you were talking about my commission work. That's our community event, our community art event. I'm like, what do I have that's due in 10 days? What? No, that's just, oh, that stream is coming up though, sometime in, oh no, I forgot to mark on my calendar. I have like an internal calendar. It's not anything that's necessarily for public, but my internal calendar, I forgot to mark the day that we're gonna be looking at all of them on stream. Let's see, what day was that? August, I did write down, oh, did I not announce it? No! Oh, okay, hold on. Let me... I think it's on that... Oh man, you would think I'm really good at scheduling, and I'm actually not the best at scheduling. How you guys doing? Hold on, let me double check. Oh wait, no, actually, let me pay attention to this because we have she's gonna be going live soon, so I'll check after stream. But my schedules. And there those three have trash taste. Oh no! Is that the joke? Is that why they called it trash taste? Oh my goodness! I see it as a project, a fun project. A project, maybe, but I guess it's not. I don't know. I guess it's just weird hearing that it's my project when I'm not putting any work into it. Like I'm not making a room or anything. That's all on everyone that signed up. And then we will, like I'm hosting it, but even then, Harry is the one, Harivia, is the one who basically put together the entire event. I just reviewed everything that she wrote. I helped fix a couple things, and that was really it. So I did not put like a, you know, so it's weird to hear that it's my project, you know? I'm so excited. But yeah, for those that don't know, we currently have an art project. An art project. Now you got me saying project. We have, okay, signups are not open, by the way. As you can see, it ended on June 30th. But we have a community art event in which is almost done. There's only 10 days left before all of the rooms are hopefully done by then. Heck yeah, I'm so excited. Yee. All right, are we gonna start getting ready? I still want to wait until she actually goes live, but I think she'll go live in a couple moments because it's almost time. In fact, 5 seconds before time. And if I see that she goes live, we will start heading over there. But I'd like to reiterate that we have our roleplay stream tomorrow. We have, do I still have that? I do have it copied. Check this out on Friday. Next Friday. And there was one other thing I mentioned that, I don't remember what it was now. Wasn't there something else I mentioned? Wait, sorry, I wanted to say something in Kibuari's channel. Clapping. Oh, okay, she went live. Okay, are you guys ready? We're gonna start getting ready. We're gonna have a special for it, though. Let's see. So, I will just do... I gotta type it all? Feel free to check me out on our socials, where I will be posting... I've been updating the Kara with my portfolio, and I've been posting on Twitter with all of our updated art and everything. Or you can also check out our Discord. And we just had our work together earlier today. Thank you so much for those that stopped by. Let's make a raid. Let me see. Hi, Lucky. Welcome in. You know what? I'll hit the button. I'll hit the actual ending button because I can't even think of what... Whee! There you go. I hit the actual ending button. Oh, Advent. What?
I would like to mention, Spelly is cool. Thank
What?
you for supporting her and enjoying her stream. Spelly one
guys...
wiggle, Spelly one hug.
Advent, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the words and your support, and thank you so much for the biddies, for the club biddies. Heck yeah. So the bot is about to type the old raid. Ignore it. I can't think of what else I'm supposed to be typing right now. So the actual raid thing that we're gonna use, not that, is gonna be... you can use the same emotes, but here's what we're gonna be saying. We're gonna say, happy birthday and debut. Like that. So it's like this. And if you are not subbed, you can use the same emotes as the one above it. Here, I'll type that for you guys too. Happy birthday and debut. There you go. Heck yeah. So I'll see you guys over there. I gotta copy this message again. No! The message is going away! That's right, keep spamming the chat so everyone can see it. The happy birthday and debut, that's what we're gonna be using. Let's go. I wanna see how fast I can see that chat go. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Tomorrow for the roleplay. That's right. Just like that. Just like that. Yeah, we're getting it. I'll see you guys again for the roleplay. Again, the hint for the roleplay is